On this episode, we chatted with Dominique Luecke, production and special event coordinator for the La Crosse Community Theater. We talk about the origins of acting, her path to the community theater, the challenges and rewards of the work, adapting productions to COVID, and their upcoming radio production of Miracle on 34th Street. You can find more conversations on our website, lacrosselocal.com. I'm Amy.
And I'm Brent.
And this is La Crosse Local.
My name is Dominique Luecke, and I was born and raised in Neenah, Wisconsin. And I'm pretty fortunate because Neenah had a pretty strong arts program, both with theater, with music. Middle school and the high school had their own auditorium with a proscenium stage. In middle school, for the fall and into the winter, they had drama as an activity that you could do after school. And then in the spring, you would put on a full-length production. And with the high school, they did 3 shows a year. It was usually a drama, a comedy, and a musical. And I am also fortunate that I come from a huge family. I have 6 siblings. 5 of my siblings are older than me. And I just remember going to see them in shows, both at middle school and high school, and thinking, that looks so fun. I want to do that. And so I auditioned as much as possible. Didn't get into every show, but that's a learning experience. And those are probably my favorite memories from middle school and high school.
What led you to the La Crosse Community Theater? I'm sure there's some time in between there from the early childhood till now. What got you to this path?
I came to La Crosse to follow a boy. My boyfriend at the time, now husband, got a job down here pretty much right after college. So I followed him down here, and he took me to see an Appleseed community theater production. I believe it was Guys and Dolls. And we ran into Teresa Smeyrud, who is a well-known photographer in the area, and she did a lot of photos for the community theater. And we were just talking to her for a little bit, and she mentioned that auditions were coming up for a show called Bus Stop, which I had never heard of. I was kind of new to the area. I hadn't really developed any kind of hobbies. I decided to give it a try. At the time, the theater was still on Fifth Avenue. And I want to say there were 20 to 30 other women at the audition. They lined us all up, and we took up the entire apron of the stage. So I didn't think I had a shot at all. And I remember the scene that they asked us to read. It was a scene between the owner of the diner where the play was set and the bus driver, who she kind of had a romantic interest in. For most of the show, they're actually upstairs doing romantic things that are alluded to, but you don't really hear much about. But anyway, in the scene, she's talking about how she likes a man with big hands. And all the other girls, they were doing the lines, and you could tell that they didn't quite know what they were talking about. And this is a seduction. She's not talking about his hands at all. So when it was my turn, I had my reading be a little bit more suggestive and flirtatious. And it was funny because you could feel the change in the room, like, oh, that's what this is about. I did end up getting the role, not of that character, of the Marilyn Monroe character that is in that show. I mean, the rest is history. I've been trying to do at least 1, maybe 2 shows a year. Advice I would definitely give, though, to anyone who is auditioning for LCT, make sure you read the script beforehand. They usually tell you to rent it 1 to 2 weeks before the auditions happen, because again, you need to know what these scenes are about so you know how to play it. That'll give you that upper edge.
So what led you to the community theater here in town? I mean, besides you're acted in it, did an opportunity come up for you to just jump into the behind the scenes of putting this on as well?
I had been acting with the theater for 3 going on 4 years. I loved it. It's a home away from home. And I was working at a very good organization, but I didn't have quite the same fulfillment, I guess, that you would hope to have from a career. So I think we were going to see a show And we started talking to the office manager at the time, and she mentioned that she was moving and that there was going to be an opening soon. So I thought, well, why not set up a meeting and just see what this position entails and see if it could be a good fit. And I did. And it's kind of a long and complicated story, but eventually I was offered the position. And again, just never looked back. I guess I just really wanted to be in the room where it happened. My position over the last 4 years that I've been here now as an employee has really evolved. I've done it all. I've helped out in the box office and with house managing. I've helped out with marketing. I've been able to write some of the descriptions for shows. I wrote a Tribune article this last fall for the first time. I've got to help out with some of our social media campaigns. I've also written grants. I've applied for sponsorships. I have helped out with hanging lights and focusing lights and painting sets. I've helped with costumes. So you name it, I love it. And I'm just honored to be a part of it and want it to keep going.
So you kind of talk about some rewards of working at the community theater. What are some of the biggest challenges you found through this career path?
The biggest challenge is that everybody has their own definition of community theater and what it means to be a community theater and the type of shows that we should be producing. I've heard people say that, well, you should only be doing, the family-friendly shows. I've heard people say, well, you're the community theater, so you should really be pushing the art and doing these like avant-garde productions, or you should really do something edgy. And then on the other side, we'll have people be like, oh, that actor just swore on stage. Oh, those two actors, they're married to other people and they're having an affair. Oh my goodness. You should do more musicals. Please don't do another musical. So it goes on. And at the end of the day, you cannot please everyone. We are fortunate that we are able to do so many different shows in a season that, we try to keep it balanced. So yes, we have some family-friendly shows. Yes, we have some shows that push the boundaries a little bit. Yes, we have some shows that are just fluff because, sometimes you just need a break. I mean, I would say that is the biggest challenge.
That does sound difficult. We're going to talk about it here a little bit because you have an event coming up that's happened for years, but how is the La Crosse Community Theater adapting with COVID?
We are just doing everything we can to think outside of the box. I mean, we've tried some things that we have never done before. This past fall, we actually moved outside of the Weber Center and we performed on a stage in the parking lot of Ultra Federal Credit Union. And we did a one-act show there outside to people parked in their vehicles. This isn't exactly new, but later on we're going to be doing a radio show and actually broadcasting it over the radio on WISM. We did that earlier in the early 2000s. They did that a little bit more, but we're bringing that back. We're exploring live streaming. So, I mean, we're just trying to figure out a way to stay connected to our community and to find a way to give people an artistic outlet and just a break from their everyday lives. Let them peek into a world that is outside of theirs for 1 to 2 hours.
Yeah, I remember the radio show. You said you're bringing that back. When's that taking place?
So our next radio show is taking place on December 12th at 6 o'clock. It'll air on WISM, both the FM and AM stations. It's actually a very unique production in that the script was actually adapted by former employees of La Crosse Community Theater. And then I myself actually cut it down so it could be about an hour long. But it's so much fun because we're doing it in the 1940s style. So you're going to have these very charismatic voice actors who will also sing. They'll have music underscoring as well as radio jingles that they will sing or speak and act out in skits. And there's also a Foley team, which are taking these everyday objects and making the sound effects live. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be very interesting, and I think just a call back to a much simpler time.
So people can just listen along on those different dates?
On December 12th, yes, they can tune into Wisdom. There's a possibility it might air again on the 24th or 25th of December. But what we're doing in addition to that is we are partnering with La Crosse Local. They are video recording the show for us. And they're also going to be conducting interviews with the production team and with the cast. So you can get kind of a behind the scenes look at what it took to put this production together. And it's going to be edited, so it's almost like a documentary where you'll still get to watch and enjoy the show, but then it'll cut to these interviews where you get to see, oh, that's how they did that. It should be a very unique watching experience, and that we're releasing as a video on demand option. And I think that'll drop right around the week of Christmas.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool idea. And like you said, we're working with you on it. Just to hear that component of that traditional radio sound and then have this other piece to it, which is also kind of a fundraiser for you guys. I'm sure it's been difficult over the last 6 months due to COVID. So if people want to find out more about the La Crosse Community Theater, potentially, follow along with this radio show, where's the best avenue for them to follow along?
The best avenue, I would say, is to go to our website, lacrossecommunitytheater.org, and then also our Facebook page. And we do have an Instagram account as well, LCT Life on Stage.
La Crosse Local Podcast is a production of River Travel Media. Do you have an interview idea you would like to share with us? Message us on Facebook at La Crosse Locals. Subscribe to the La Crosse Local Podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you like us, rate us 5 stars. We thank you for it.